Welcome back to Remote Work Essentials. I'm James. In the first episode, we talked about what makes remote work different and the mindset shifts that you'll need to make. Today, we're getting practical. We're talking about your workspace, the physical environment where you'll spend most of your working hours. And here's the truth. Where you work matters just as much as how you work. So let's build a workspace that actually works. First decision. Where in your home are you going to work? The ideal answer is a dedicated room with a door that you can close. A spare bedroom, a home office, a converted closet. Anything that's separate from your living space. When you're in that room, you're at work. When you leave, you're done. That physical separation is incredibly powerful for your brain. I started in a shared space in our home and then moved my office to a walled off and finished section of the garage, then to a shared space, and finally to a room that is dedicated as my office. It's been a process of testing and finding the right fit. Don't push too hard to get it perfect on the first try. You can adjust. If you have less space to work with, it doesn't mean that you can't work remotely. There are things you can do in virtually all spaces you consider workspaces. If you're working from your bedroom, try to position your desk so that it's not the first thing you see when you wake up, or the last thing that you see before you go to bed. If you can, use a room divider or a bookshelf to create some visual separation. This is important. Please do not work from your bed. Your bed is for sleep. Keep that association strong in your mind. It's an easy one to let slip, but unless your wellness requires it, you're best to mentally separate your resting and working spaces. If you're in a living room or a shared space, you'll need to be more intentional about creating work mode. We'll talk about rituals in a future episode, but start thinking about what signals work time to your brain. Maybe it's putting on a pair of headphones. Maybe it's turning on a specific lamp or sitting in a particular chair that you only use for work. If you have roommates or family, pick the quietest spot you can find. The corner that's away from the TV, the kitchen, any high traffic areas. You might need to have some conversations about boundaries. We'll cover that in episode 8. But location is your first line of defense in creating a dedicated workspace, both mentally and physically. The goal isn't perfection. The goal is the best you can do with the space you have. Let's talk about the two most important pieces of furniture, your desk and your chair. Your desk. You need a surface that's big enough for your laptop or monitor, keyboard, mouse, maybe a notebook. That's it. You don't need fancy. A simple desk, a dining table, even a folding table can work. What matters most is the height. Your desk should be about elbow height when you're sitting. If you're typing and your wrists are bent up or down, that's a problem. You want your forearms parallel to the floor. If your desk is too high, raise your chair and use a footrest. If it's too low, put risers under the legs. Even textbooks work. All right, let's talk about your chair. This is where you should spend your money, if you can. You're going to sit in this chair for hours every day. A bad chair will wreck your back, your neck, and your posture, and you won't even realize it's happening until you're in pain. What to look for. Adjustable height so that your feet are flat on the floor. Lumbar support. That lower back curve matters. Adjustable armrests or no armrests is fine, but not fixed armrests that are at the wrong height. Comfortable seat. You should be able to sit for an hour without any numbness or discomfort. You don't need a $1,000 Herman Miller. A good office chair, even in the $200 to $300 range, will change your life. If that's not in your budget right now, look for used office furniture. Companies liquidate this stuff all the time. Check Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist, even local office furniture resellers. And if you're on a really tight budget, use a dining chair with a towel rolled up behind your lower back for lumbar support. Add a cushion if it's hard. It's not the best, but I promise it's still better than the couch. Monitor height. So when you're using a laptop or an external monitor, the top of the screen should be at or slightly below eye level. If you're looking down at your laptop all day, you're going to have neck pain. If you're looking up, you may introduce neck strain. Not fun. To solve for a low screen, grab a laptop stand or a stack of books. Raise the screen up. Then use an external keyboard and mouse so you're not typing on a laptop that's elevated. That would hurt your wrists. These things sound minor, but I promise you will notice them over time if you ignore them now. Let's talk about the things that people don't think about until they're struggling. Lighting. Bad lighting makes you tired, gives you headaches, and makes video calls look terrible. The best light is natural light. Position your desk near a window if you can, but don't face it directly. You're going to get a glare on yourself or your screen. Instead, put the window to your side if possible, so that light comes across your workspace. I worked for 2 years in an office with no windows, and it required a lot of extra lighting to make sure I both looked and felt the best I could. If you don't have good natural light, get a desk lamp. Something with adjustable brightness is great. You want to light your workspace, not overhead fluorescent lights that are kind of causing strain and feelings of oppression. For video calls, make sure that light is hitting your face, not backlighting you. If your window is behind you, you look like a silhouette. Light in front of you or even to the sides. Even a cheap ring light will make a huge difference if you're on camera a lot. Noise management. This is huge, probably even bigger than you realize. You need to minimize distractions to make communication and work effective. If you can't control the noise around you, say neighbors, street noise, family members, try getting some noise-canceling headphones. They're worth every penny. And I'm not even talking about music or white noise. Just the noise cancellation alone will help you focus. This was a game changer for me when I worked in shared spaces. If you need to block out sound for deep focus, white noise or brown noise apps work well. I personally like lo-fi music or some like low BPM instrumental music. Some people like other types of music or nature sounds. Find something that soothes you and puts you in the headspace to accomplish work. For video calls, consider your microphone setup, please. A decent USB microphone picks up less background noise than the one built into your laptop. Though most modern video call apps are pretty good at adjusting for this. We'll get into tech a little bit more in the next episode, but know that audio quality matters so much more than video quality, since more people are likely to notice poor sound than poor video. You can always turn off your video if it's distracting or not performing well, but it's really challenging to communicate remotely if you need to keep your microphone on mute. Temperature and air quality. This sounds minor, but it's not. If your workspace is too hot, too cold, or stuffy, you're going to be uncomfortable and it's going to distract you. I learned this lesson in my converted garage office. You want your workspace at a normal household temperature for you. If you can't control the whole room, try a small desk fan or a space heater. But be wary of the noise generated by these devices. Open a window occasionally, if you can. Fresh air helps you think. If you're in a windowless space, consider an air purifier, or just take breaks outside. Get some fresh air. It does wonders for problems, especially if you're stuck. One last note on this topic. Humans respond well to being surrounded by living things. Get some plants, even if they aren't real, and put them in your space. Let the plants be the ones that you feel represent you, because they will make any workspace feel much more human. I know some of you are thinking, this all sounds great, dude, but I live in a studio apartment. I don't have space for any of this. I get it. Let's talk about a few small space solutions. A folding desk. You could get a wall-mounted folding desk if you hang one up. When you're done working, just fold it. Your living room becomes a living room again. They're like 50, maybe $100, and they do work. A desk organizer. Keep all your stuff in one place. A basket, a drawer, a box, it does not matter. At the end of the day, put all your laptop and work materials in there. Out of sight, out of mind. Corners are wasted space in most rooms. A small corner desk takes up almost no room, but gives you a dedicated work spot. Consider how you might use a corner creatively. Portable setups. So if you absolutely cannot have a permanent workspace, make your setup as portable as possible. That includes your laptop, your wireless keyboard and mouse. Everything can go into a backpack. Set it up at a dining table or something like that during work hours and pack it away after. The key is creating some kind of boundary, even if it's small. Even if it's a specific chair that is your work chair. Your brain needs these signals to help you interpret where you are in your day. And honestly, some people work better with a temporary setup. They like the flexibility, the mobility. If that's you, embrace it. Just make sure you're not sacrificing your posture or your comfort to keep it portable. We've talked about how your physical space looks and feels, but your workspace isn't just functional. It's psychological. When you go into an office, the commute is the mental transition. You leave home and you enter work. When you work from home, you need to create that transition yourself. Your workspace is where that happens. Some people light a candle when they start to work. Some people have a specific coffee mug that they only use during work hours. Some people put on work-only headphones. I know it sounds silly, but I promise these rituals matter and they do help. They tell your brain, okay, we are working now. At the end of the day, you also need an end-of-work ritual. Close your laptop. Turn off your desk lamp. Leave the room if you can. If you can't leave, physically turn your chair away from your desk. Something that signals to your mind and your body, work is over. Make your workspace somewhere that you actually want to be. Don't forget the plants. Please. Put up some art. Have good pens. Whatever makes you feel good while you're in that space and using it. You're going to spend a lot of time here. It should be a place that energizes you, not drains you. Taking care of yourself is partially accomplished by taking care of your workspace. You're saying, my work matters, I matter, I deserve a space that supports me. Maybe if you haven't done that before, it might feel a little weird. Try saying that to yourself. If you say it and you know that you believe it, that's the key mindset shift here. That's when remote work, and even things well beyond remote work, start to feel controllable and better. All right, real quick, let's talk about what you don't need. You don't need a standing desk on day one. I eventually found one being sold at a low price, and it's been my daily driver for years. They're great. They're not essential. Start simple. You don't need the fanciest equipment. No one cares if your desk is from IKEA or some high-end furniture store. Your results are the thing that you put your work value into, right? You don't need to spend thousands of dollars. A functional workspace can be built on a budget. Don't overdo it. I personally have to argue with myself on this one from time to time. What you do need is a place to sit comfortably, adequate lighting, minimal distractions. Start there. Upgrade as you go. All right, here's your action item for this episode. Look at your current workspace or visualize where you might put one. What's one thing you could change this week that would make the biggest difference? Maybe it's adjusting your monitor height. Maybe it's buying a desk lamp. Maybe it's just clearing clutter. Pick one thing. Do it. Pay attention to how it feels. Next episode, we're going to dive into your tech setup. Your internet, your hardware, your software, all the tools that make remote work actually work. See you then.